everybody. Welcome to this week's episode. We
Yeah,
are 30 minutes early this week because our guest host, Hussein, is going insane. He's got too many things, too many shows to
but
be on.
but but
Popular
but
guy.
yeah, but that doesn't matter because Earth is not flat as per the religious textbooks. It's a globe, so 30 minutes early means what?
Yeah, just for the regulars who might be looking,
Yeah,
who
yeah.
always, tuning in, like, so we're a little 30 minutes because he's got to be on so many other shows today. So
So
last week we tried to go live, but we were having some technical issues with mics. So we had to cancel at the last minute. So I do apologize to our regular viewers that we were not able to come to you live last week. Yeah, so Hussein, do you want to go first? The reason why you're going to be on so many shows, you've got a death to talk about in India.
yeah, I have two news from here. One is the death of an infant um, who died while trying to perform circumcision on him. A 2 month old infant. Okay, so you know how the circumcision is performed, the male circumcision. It's never talked about. We know that the FGM or the female genital mutilation is something even WHO has put an end point to that, like 2030 to end the FGM worldwide. That's their goal. But for the female version of this genital mutilation, there's no such talks or something related to that. So right now, what we are seeing is an upsurge of such incidents of botched up circumcisions or some sort of complications out of that. So like any medical procedure, this has a risk associated with that. And for a child who is so young to perform this means the risks will be even more. So that's what happened here, and he died of respiratory distress. And
Friction or
no, just
no?
by while giving the anesthesia, he went into respiratory
So it's
distress,
like
and yeah,
like an allergic reaction to the
something could be
sedative.
the postmortem report is awaited. So only once we get there, we will get to know the real details. But anyway, this happened after a circumcision was tried on him. And even last year, we had another news where 69, 70 days old child was dead, especially after circumcision was performed due to bleeding. So that was some another case, and this happens over and over. And my organization here, that is the non-religious citizens, we went to the court to stop these kind of practices, which is non-therapeutic, without any medical reasons for performing this surgery. And we wanted to stop this from happening before the age of consent, that is 18 years. And non-therapeutic male circumcision should be stopped. And if the person prefers to do that, he can do that after he turns 18, when he's an adult, when he's totally aware of what's going on, the risks and the benefits and other things. Right now, when the parents decide this, there's no obvious reasons for performing this. And even AAI, we had a motion that was moved last year, I think, to campaign against this male genital mutilation, to put an end to this worldwide. We have enough evidence and enough pediatric bodies, societies, physicians and surgeons societies speaking against this practice, because there's no proven benefits or clinical evidence to prove that neonatal, prophylactic, non-therapeutic circumcision, male circumcision, is helpful either in stopping any sort of disease or to keep the hygiene or any other things. So there's no such an evidence, good quality evidence for that. So for these reasons, the Canadian physicians body, pediatricians, then the Dutch body, then we have the Australian body, and many other bodies coming up, and saying that their position is pretty much clear on this. There's no evidence to support a prophylactic male circumcision. So this is the major thing. And this also proves one more thing, that is, since we hear from the proponents for this male circumcision that this will prevent disease, this will prevent penile cancer or even HIV and other things. And in that case, if we get some sort of treatments or some vaccines or something that we are listening right now, that is the coming up of new vaccines to prevent HIV or the treatments for that. So in that case, will they be able to end this practice? Like, since they are claiming that this is for preventing them, if we have better ways to prevent that disease using vaccines, will they be allowing us to stop this practice of male circumcision? So this is just a cover-up for their superstitious practice. That's it. So there's no other something else required to justify this. So this is the major one which I have to say, and this is from my part. Yeah.
Is circumcision something that's common in India? Like
Yeah,
that started under the British, or like I
No,
mean,
this
like
is
I know
part
in
of
the
the
Judeo, well, I know in the Judeo-Christian, like in the West, the
Judeo-Christian,
circumcision,
Islamic, yeah.
yeah,
And the
but
Jews
I
and the
mean,
Christians, they have slipped down in practicing this, especially even in the Jewish community, especially the secular Jews and all, and also those Jews who have moved out of Israel or living outside as diaspora. They are seeing even lesser number of Jews practicing this. So even
the
in that
Hindus,
case, sorry.
is circumcision a common practice in the Hindu community, or it's
It's
mostly
not
in the
about
Islamic?
Hindi. It's not about Hindus. It's about Islamic. The
So it's
practice
most of
within
this.
Islam.
So the child who died was a Muslim child. Okay,
Yeah.
but 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 countrywide, like it's not something that's practiced in the Hindu community.
No, for them
No.
that's not a mandatory one. It's mostly when you say something like circumcision, it's all about Islam. That's why I even didn't mention about that. Okay, so nobody does that, and
I mean,
even
it's
we
I'm
have
sure like
specialized clinics for them.
maybe under the British, the British colonial rule, maybe it became common under the British for the Hindus
Nothing
to
like
get
that.
circumcised. So
It's all part of the Islamic culture, Islamic tradition, or their belief system, where they even claim that Prophet had done this. Prophet was born as a circumcised person, but it's a funny claim because when you say that you born circumcised, that means that you were having a birth defect. Okay, and that defect is called as apostia. That's the lack of prepuce. That's a medical condition, and also that also signifies that you were born out of some sort of a relationship where you were having a consanguineous marriage, your father and mother. So that's more greater chance for such a relation, and that's one reason why these kind of birth defects are common in such relationships. So that's one reason why we always say that consanguineous marriages should be barred or should be discouraged. So when you say Prophet was born as a circumcised person, it signifies multiple other things. And you are also claiming that, or you are just signaling that he was born out of a consanguineous marriage. So, and I'm also glad that, okay, you are asked to follow his circumcised penis, and nothing like if he was a madman, and becoming mad could be sunnah. Just imagine what the Muslims would be around the world. Even without claiming that to be a sunnah, they are acting like mad people. You can see the jihadis blowing up in the middle of the streets and ramming the trucks. So that's one reason. So just joking. So to mimic a birth defect is not something spiritual. It's just a, what do you say? It's a BS. Okay, that's
well,
it.
I don't remember which comedian, but I remember hearing like in the last 20 years this comedian talking about circumcision. He says, "Well, think about it. You're running around in a razor. You didn't want sand in there. That's why the circumcision started." So,
Yeah.
but I mean, I have read some some health reports that said circumcision does help with hygiene, but if I've never read them in detail whether it's inconclusive or not. But
No.
from what I've read, it's supposed to be more
See,
hygienic. So
yeah, if you are vocal so much about this hygiene part, the most difficult area to keep the hygiene and the most visited clinics for lack of hygiene would be your teeth. Okay, the dental part. And imagine the number of dental clinics all over the world. And you won't find a penis clinic anywhere. So if that was a common thing, the hygiene, it's
that's not
about
true.
you.
That's not true. Apparently, Thailand is the
Why?
number one destination for penis reattachment surgery. Because apparently a lot of women in Thailand are slicing off willies for their cheating hubbies.
Oh, that's something
So there
else.
are so
Naughty.
there are some penis clinics. So
Okay, that's naughty. So the hygiene is something which you have to observe, even if you have a body organ, it's your responsibility to keep the hygiene, and you have to train yourself. You brush your teeth and you keep the hygiene, and you suffer a lot. And even with all this, you get the caries, and you visit the dentist maybe multiple times a year. So that's something you are accustomed to do. Otherwise, you will be suffering with root canals and other things. So know the difficulty. So just like that, if you have a penis, just learn to keep it in a hygienic form. So that's the only way out. It's not like you just cut it out and you just do it this way and saying that, okay, now it's so hygienic. But the problem is it's non-functional, or it is dysfunctional. That's the major problem, because what you are cutting out is not just something like you cutting out some part of your hair or your nails or something. It's a functional part. The largest organ in your body is the skin, and this skin, the prepuce, is a specialized skin with a lot of nerve endings, which has a specific function for related to your sexual health and sexual functions. So you have to keep it. You have to save it. You have to keep it hygienic. So that's your duty to do that. Just like you brush your teeth, or you clean your eyes or nose, or any orifices you have, you just do that. Why don't you do the same with your penis? So this is a lame excuse. So, and when we address this, there's another problem related to this. If you are saying this, in Islam, it's not just the male circumcision that is mentioned. Islam also mentions at the same verse or the sentence about the female genital mutilation. So if you say all the goodness, all the scientific facts and the benefits of male circumcision, I challenge all those people to just come up with one benefit of female genital mutilation. So why are you silent about that? So that's the question. So if you are claiming that it is so beneficial, you must be able to produce some sort of benefits, similar benefits, or equivalent benefits for the female genital, because it is mentioned together. So you cannot single out male genital mutilation from a duo and take it out according to your fanciful imaginations. That's not the way. Now you are supposed to give us the benefits of female genital mutilation. You won't be able to do that. It's not even a medical surgical procedure. At least for the male genital mutilation, you can at least claim that way. It's a medical procedure for some sort of penile diseases like phimosis, adhesions, or some other conditions. You may be balanoposthitis. There are many conditions which are rare, but maybe if you get it, you may want to cut it down. So that's fine. That's how medicine works. The surgical interventions works like that. So that's totally fine. But for this to be done in a neonatal baby, as a prophylactic, as a blanket solution, there's no evidence. And it's so much encouraging that we have a lot of bodies coming up. In the past, they had mentioned about some of its goodness, it is beneficial and other things. But later on, with more meta-analysis and systematic reviews of all the published data, they are arriving at a conclusion that it's no more beneficial, especially after weighing the risks and lack of strong clinical evidence to support it is beneficial. So there are a lot of bodies coming up, the pediatric societies coming up and saying that it is not beneficial, not even for hygiene, not even for preventing or curing or something like that, any disease. Okay, so that's the current position.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And you wanted to talk about a report in Israel?
Yes, that's something which came up maybe a few days. It's a DINA report. That's the name of that. Maybe we can just display it. Oh, sorry. Yeah, we have it. So, hope it's visible. So, rape used as a weapon of war. This is a report which was put forward by the DINA project. I suppose it's pronounced that way, Dina. Um, and they studied the October 7th related sexual violence used by Hamas against the Israeli women, especially. So that's what it speaks of. And they systematically, that they means Hamas, systematically weaponized sexual assault as part of broader campaign to terrorize, humiliate, and dehumanize Israelis. That's what they did. So they made this. They came up with this report. They studied almost for a year, and they submitted it. And now it's giving out a lot of information. We are not able to not able to read all those things because it's a detailed report. But if you find it out, just go through that, and it will be useful to get an idea of how this Hamas operatives, the terrorists, were functioning in Gaza, and how they carried out this attack over Israel on October 7th, and how they are still keeping the captives, the hostages, captive, and they are still using this rape as a weapon. And this is something which is despicable, and which the world is silent of. And we need to talk about this. That's what I just wanted to make sure we must talk on that. And this was put forward by, or the project or the idea was put forward by a person called Ilana Gritsweski, 31, who has publicly spoken out about being sexually assaulted by her captors in Gaza. This is how it rolled out, like it gained attention. And now, she came from this kibbutz Nir Oz, and this is the kibbutz where I paid a visit in last year. So that was the first kibbutz where Hamas terrorists broke in, and they were trying to use that place as a base for the transport of all the equipments, their loot, and the people and everyone they brought from other kibbutzes, and they were keeping it as a storage there, and from there they slowly transported it to the Gaza region. That's how they did it. So this was the region, and I had a visit over that place, and it is so horrific to visit that. We could even see houses burned down and people who tried to escape and many other things. So it's a horrific place to visit. So this is it, and she's the person who was speaking publicly about all these things. Ilana Gritsweski. Okay. So this is it. The Dina report. Okay. I'm not going in detail about this because it's so much graphical, a lot of explanations and other things. It's better that you can go and read this. And I'm displaying it from the Times of Israel. You can read this as per your choice. There are BBC reporting it and many other news outlets reporting it. As per your choice, you can go and read there. Okay, that's it.
Okay. Right, so on my side, just a couple of couple of small ones. So like Jimmy Swaggart died last week. I didn't even know he was still alive. I mean, he's pretty much been out of the limelight since his scandal, I believe, in the late '80s. You know, Sane, Jesus. So he's been pretty much out since his fall from grace, but I didn't even know he was still alive. So anyway, some tweet said, "Oh God, it's hot down here." Funny tweet. And the other bit of major news is the Dalai Lama has announced that he is going to designate his successor. Of course, which China is saying, no, we will appoint, or we need to approve the successor. So there's going to be a bit of a showdown between the Tibetan Buddhist community and the Chinese government. This is the same thing that happens with the Catholic bishops. You know, the Catholic Church has actually relented on appointing their own bishops. They let the Catholic Church do it, which historically is actually how it was done in the first millennia of church history. That the bishops were appointed by the monarchs in their own kingdom. It was only in the last 1,000 years that the church has taken that prerogative away from the government. So historically, you know, that's, you know, it was the governments who appointed the religious figures. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Tibetan Buddhism after the Dalai Lama goes. Like, presumably, whoever the Chinese government, you know, appoints, will this be ignored by the rest of the community, would be my guess. And they will follow whoever the designated successor will be, despite whatever China says. So.
Interesting developments over there.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
a couple small points this week. So
Okay.
it's always history. It's like wait and see. We'll see how things shake out in Israel and Gaza. We'll see how things shake out in Tibet. So we'll see how things shake out with Iran. So
Okay.
always waiting. So yeah,
Maybe
so
next
that's
week we'll get some more exciting news.
yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. So
Yeah, so I guess you have to run to your next video appearance, right? You've got to go and talk about the circumcision on multiple shows
circumcision.
tonight. So
Yeah.
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 Well, thank you everybody for joining,
Okay.
and short of having more technical difficulties, we'll be back again next week. So thanks everybody,
Good to go.
and we'll see you next week. Take care. Bye
Take
bye.
care. Bye.